Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Average Guys. We're talking fantasy football this time.
Bing bong.
Bing bong bang. We actually, Rye Guy, we're us here. We're in the same fantasy league. He actually talked me into it. I had
Yeah,
to say no a couple times, and then he was very persistent. And so anybody who's looking to hire a salesperson,
I
you
got those
gotta
rebuttal skills, baby.
he's got the rebuttal skills, those negotiations. And so, yeah, we just did our draft earlier this week. And so we just want to kind of fill you in on who we drafted, why, and what our outlook is for the season. We just want to talk fantasy football, you know? Sometimes people want to hear about it.
Fantasy football is an amazing thing. I couldn't come up with another. I wanted to come up with something elaborate.
Fantasy football is very fantastical. Fantastic. Um,
Fantastical.
so yeah, I mean fantasy football is stressful. Yeah, I did last year was the
What's a
first
full
time
time job?
last year was the first time I've ever done fantasy football, and I did a free league. And I just found myself worrying about this stuff way too much. I should not have done it. And then now Rise got me into a league where you actually pay to be in it, and like it's like actual competition. I'm like, come on, man. But it's fun. I enjoy it. And I think that I really love competition as well. So I think it's a cool way for us to compete against each other in a average guy kind of way.
Absolutely.
It's like the
Absolutely.
ultimate
You've
average
come a
guy's.
long way, dude. You last year your first pick was Deshaun Watson in the first round. At least you
Yeah,
at least you went your first mock draft you chose Amon-Ra St. Brown.
CeeDee Lamb. But yeah, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown too. Yeah, yeah, I definitely didn't know what I was doing last year. I never sought any advice. I just went and did what I thought was right, and I drafted a quarterback round one, and all the quarterbacks, I went and drafted Deshaun Watson. So yeah, last year didn't work out too well. I still won some good games because I picked a couple people that nobody really saw coming. I had Puka Nakua on my team. I had Kyron Williams. David
Oh,
Montgomery
nice.
had a good year. Jerome Ford actually was a good producer for me. My Browns defense did good. So I last year, like I got lucky on a few things, despite the fact of having no strategy at all. This year, I don't know. We'll see because this year I was the number one overall draft pick, and I did not see that coming. And I really believe that the number one overall draft pick is one of the worst draft picks you can have in
I
fantasy
agree.
football. So yeah, I did a couple fantasy drafts with the number one overall pick, but not that many because I was like, I'm not gonna get the first overall pick. I'll probably be somewhere in the middle. And nope, first overall pick. It was challenging. Right, what pick were you?
I was the last 12th.
Last 12th. All right, interesting. So both you and I probably we have a similar perspective of the draft, right?
Yeah, we could talk about what we did at the 12-1 and
Mm-hmm.
112
Yeah,
turn. You know,
for sure. Do you think that we should just like say our teams now, or do you think we should just kind of talk through the draft and
I think let's go through our teams.
all right, so you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll do mine first. I am the Crip City Bangers of the No Name League.
It's because of the cerebral palsy, not because of the gang you're in.
Yeah, I can't throw up gang signs.
All right. What's that? All right, tell us about your team.
So in this league, we have a quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, a running back slash wide receiver, and a flex, a tight end, and a defense. So basically, two flexes and your regular lineups. Otherwise, so quarter from top to bottom, my team is C.J. Stroud, Jameer Gibbs, Kenneth Miller, Tank Dell, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Jake Ferguson, Javante Williams, and the Dolphins defense. On the bench, I have a bunch of rookie projects. Um, Braden Allen, Braylon Allen from Jets, running back. Trey Benson, running back from Arizona. Tyler Boyd, receiver playing for the Titans now. Jalen McMillan, the rookie for Tampa Bay, which could be a good.
Test. You got, I know Ryan had an incoming call there. That's why. You good now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Popular man over there. They heard he had James McMillan. They're like, yo, let me call him up.
He could be a big target for Baker.
Mm. We know Baker likes those checkdowns.
Check down Baker. You just want Deshaun to go. And that's pretty much it, though. I had McMillan and Zach Moss and Aaron Rodgers.
Gotcha.
To
Okay, cool.
So I have
you have a what's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You went 2 quarterbacks. You got your backup on your team already too.
Yeah, because I wanted to get I have the Tank Dell, CJ Stroud connection, so I wanted to get Aaron Rodgers because I have Garrett Wilson. I like stacking sometimes, you know.
Yeah, no, I tried to do that too. Yeah, that's smart, man. I really think you got a good team, bro. I think that when I look at all the teams in our league, I think it's between you and I can't remember their names, but it's between you and 2 other teams that I think are gonna end up winning it all.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm in 3. Hopefully, I can get at least one.
Mutts, Maulers, and Big Dogs, I think are between you, Mutts, Maulers, and Big Dogs. I think it's gonna be between the 3 of you.
And it's funny because I think they both auto drafted.
Did they?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, Mutts Maulers, there were several times where like I was sure who I was gonna pick next, and every time, man, they kept between your dad and Mutts Maulers, they kept taking my picks. But
so do you want to go through like where we drafted these guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna share my team really quick first, and then we'll go through and talk about where we drafted.
All right.
So I'll do the same thing. I'll go top down. So quarterback, I got Tua Tagovailoa. Running back, I got Devon Achane. And then I've got Christian McCaffrey. And then I've got Amari Cooper, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, David Njoku, David Montgomery at the flex. And then I've got the Browns defense and special teams. So yeah, I know 3 Browns, 1 team. I know what everyone's thinking. I think they're solid picks for the Browns. I don't think I was just dick riding my team. On the bench, I got Keon Coleman. He's the rookie wide receiver in Buffalo. I think that he could be a contributor. Ray Davis, backup running back for Buffalo.
Oh, he's gonna be. I like him a lot.
Do you like him a lot?
Yeah, that's
cool.
One of the picks
we'll see what you can do.
I was very envious of.
I got Romeo Doubs, wide receiver for Green Bay. I can't remember if he's wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, but he's at least on the field. Josh Downs, which I was excited about that he was still there. I know nobody picked him because he's injured. He's going to miss the first few games, but I think that he could have a good second year. I liked him last year, and he's a bench stasher. So like by the time he's back from his injury, like I won't need him before his injury. I got Cole Kmet as my backup tight end, which I think with what's his name, Caleb Williams being a rookie quarterback, I think rookies a lot of times lean on their tight ends a lot, and Cole has proven to be at least athletic and able to score touchdowns. So we'll see about that. I got Jordan Mason, who is the backup running back for San Francisco. I didn't want to do it. Like I don't believe in getting a handicap for my own players because I do have Christian McCaffrey, but he was just kind of like, of all the running backs who were left at the time, he was just it seemed like, yeah. And then I've got Devin Singletary. What's that?
It's not a bad pick.
No, it's not. It's not. I don't usually like to. I wouldn't usually want to get a handicap for my own players, but like I'd rather get a handicap for other people's players. But it is what it is. And then I got Devin Singletary, running back for the Giants. I think that he's going to be better than people give credit for. I think that he was kind of a steal for me, based on where I got him at. But yeah, let's talk through the draft and go through like what actually happened here.
Okay.
So I had the number 1 overall pick, which is a lot of a lot of pressure because you can get anybody you want, and I didn't think that was going to be a thing. Obviously, whenever you think of who's going to be your number 1, you always think like Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. Those tend to be like the top 3 that come to mind for a lot of people. I was really torn here. Like I was really torn. I'll tell you, like obviously I went with Christian McCaffrey because I already told you he's on my team. Got Christian McCaffrey number one. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. I think that he took a lot of hits last year. Like, he played a lot. He carried the ball a lot last year. But I still think he's a safe pick to be like one of the top contributors in the league. And so, yeah, I went with him. And I also like, I had this assumption that people were going to be taking a lot of wide receivers in round one. And so I was, yeah, like that's kind of where my mind was with it. Now that I think back on it, or not even that I think back on it, I think the person who I think is going to be running back number one this year is actually going to be Saquon Barkley, I think. And I kind of, part of me kind of wishes I would have just taken Saquon Barkley number one, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
One thing that sticks out to me when I look at your team is
Mhm.
you not going quarterback until round 10.
Yeah.
Wow, the 10th round.
Yeah. Every mock draft that I've done, quarterback tends to go like there tends to be a lot of good quarterbacks late. But I'll say that this draft went way different than any mock draft I've done,
Yeah,
right? Like I was wrong because actually quite a few, I mean, the first three picks of our draft were running backs. And I thought like for sure the next two picks were going to be wide receivers. I mean, we had one, two, three, four, five running backs go in the first round in a PPR league where most people would be prioritizing wide receiver.
right.
But anyways, Rye Guy, we come up to 12 for you. So the first 11 picks that come off the board before you come up are Christian
Oh,
McCaffrey,
we're
Bijan
losing. I'm
Robinson.
losing you.
You're good. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Brees Hall, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley at number 10, AJ Brown at number 11, and then Rye Guy, you came up at number 12. What were you thinking at that point? Did the board fall the way you thought it would?
Well, kinda, yeah. I mean, I definitely wanted to go receiver. Hold
Mhm.
on, I'm all discombobulated here. I need to charge my phone. So let me bring up Tyrell.
If you need to get your phone plugged in, you can go ahead and do that.
It is.
Okay, cool.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey.
all right. This is great video production here
Yeah. We're just
for
average
anybody who
guys.
wants to puke from
Money.
being
We
shaken
need
so
money
much.
for production.
Ryan likes to talk with his hands too, so if he's holding his phone while we're recording, he's gonna be like, right, we're gonna hopefully pause here. Okay, cool. So, all right, how are we looking here? How did you said the board fell the way that you kind of thought it would? You wanted to get a receiver with your first pick.
Yeah. I
What were
wanted
you
to
thinking here at 12?
best available wide receiver, and Garrett Wilson was there. I think he, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, he could be wide receiver one in the whole league. And then with the 12-13 with the turn, I went with Jameer Gibbs. I didn't want to double up because I don't think they're running at that point running back that or running choices at running back began to dwindle, and I think Mark Gibbs is going to have a good year. So I definitely wanted to go receiver running back or running back receiver in any fashion. Like, and obviously it didn't matter. Like I could have went Jamar Gibbs first and then Wilson.
Right. Yeah, I really like those picks, bro. Like honestly, like I would rather have those picks than Christian McCaffrey.
Or like I could have had Puka Nakua too, but I think Garrett Wilson was the best receiver option, or Marvin Harrison has upside, but definitely Garrett Wilson has the higher floor. So I think as far as available options at wide receiver at 12, I think I took the right choice. And I'd have to say at running back too, because I would rather have Jamar Gibbs instead of Kyron or uh, ETN. So I think I did. I think I did the best I could with the tools that were given to me there.
Yep. Yeah, I think those are two solid picks. That makes sense. And bro, man, I would much rather have 12 and 13 than one, 1 and 24.
Yeah, it's
Huge difference. But yeah, anyway, so I got one. So now long wait until my next pick. And in that time, just a ton of running backs and wide receivers came off the board.
I definitely see that.
And I get to my next pick at 24. Honestly, again, I don't love my pick here. Like I left my 24 and 25 pick feeling like, man, I really screwed this up already. But like it's fine. I went with Drake London at wide receiver. It was between him, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, Brian Ayuk, and I can get the argument for going with any of those other guys over Drake London. The biggest reason why I went Drake London is because I just feel like he has a lot less competition for targets. Like I
Yeah.
think they try to feature Drake London a little bit in that offense. But honestly, like I I didn't go with Nico Collins just because like I think that there's so many good receivers on the Texans team that I don't know, it's just hard to imagine Nico Collins being a he's gonna be good, but like I feel like there's a little bit more upside in a team that kind of doesn't have that much weapons going against him. I could be wrong, we'll see. I did like DK Metcalf. He was the one I was most likely gonna go with besides Drake London. Debo and Brandon Ayuk, I like both of those, but again, there's just so many targets on that team. And I was planning on picking up the quarterback, whose name is I'm not able to remember right now for some reason. The quarterback for the 49ers,
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. I had it in my head, I'm gonna go get Brock Purdy. He's gonna end up being my quarterback. And I didn't want to have too many of my key players on the same offense because on their bye week it just wouldn't work out. Like I would have most of my key players on the bench that
Oh
week.
man.
So I kept it. I went with Drake London. And then my 25th pick, I went with Devon Achan, who I think could be a really big upside player, but I don't know. Like he's still a question mark to me. He had a big year last year, but it was only his rookie year, so we'll see what happens. Uh, right, I'm talking about Devon Achan now, my 25th pick.
Okay.
Um,
I lost connection.
yeah, I know. Yeah, you disappeared for a while, but no, I just wrapped up by saying that like, yeah, I went with Drake London because of the fact that I think they're gonna kind of like build the offense around him. Kirk Cousins is an upgrade at quarterback over who they had last year, and I know Kirk Cousins like isn't afraid to throw to his receivers because he threw it a lot to Justin Jefferson. So I went Drake London there, and then Devon Achan. I think that he has a really big upside as a running back. I think he's super explosive and he's effective in the pass game. And being a PPR league, I wanted a running back. I was really looking for a running back who excelled in the pass game. So, and most of the running backs were off the field board already. So I just went Devon Achan. And, and yeah, that's what I was thinking there. Ryan, what do you think about those picks?
Uh yeah, I agree with the upset on Devon Achane.
Hmm.
And I don't think, and I really like Rashad White. I think McCaffrey and White would have been a solid 1-2. I'm worried about A-Chain's health. I probably would have went DK over Drake if I would have done anything different in that receiver.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not. I agree with you on Collins. I definitely wouldn't have went Collins over London. I don't know, man. I think you're right. I think Drake London could be the number one target. I think it's going to take a couple weeks. Yeah, I like your picks. I agree with your thinking, and based on your thinking, I think you made the right picks.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like looking back in hindsight, like I wish I would have taken DK Metcalf instead of Drake London, but it is what it is.
And don't sleep on Derrick Henry in that backfield.
Yeah.
You know,
He could get a lot of touchdowns this year. I could see that.
I mean, him and Lamar. That's going to be hard to. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson at the same time is going to be a big pin.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they might be. Yeah, we are. Um, we're recording, definitely recording. So after I went 24 and 25, At this point, I've got 2 running backs and a wide receiver. And then Ryan's next pick is at 36. And in that time, we had a lot more wide receivers and running backs come off the board. We had our first tight end come off the board. So after Devon Achane, we've got Derrick Henry, Rashad White, Nico Collins, DK Metcalf, Sam Laporta, Debo Samuel Jr., Brandon Ayuk, Alvin Kamara, Malik Neighbors, James Cook, and then Ryan's pick at 36. Rye, at this point, a bunch of wide receivers and running backs, like pretty much exclusively running backs and wide receivers came off the board. The first tight end came off the board at this point at 30. You're at 36. How's that looking for
Yeah.
you? Is this what you expected?
Hang on, I'm having a bunch of technical difficulties here.
Yeah, I can see that. Can you hear me?
Connections off, and
That's that Northeast Ohio internet.
yeah, I know. Tell me
Uh,
about it.
yeah, right. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I can hear you perfectly fine.
I can't.
So
I
at this
can't see
point,
you though.
it's okay. You don't need to see me. At
Um,
at this point, almost exclusively wide receivers and running backs came off the board. Man, Ryan's connection is really messing up here.
tell me about it, man. Oh, there you are. We got to redo this whole thing. Yeah, no, we might have to scrap this whole thing and give it and do it again.
Okay, so back from the internet.
Mishap.
So we were talking about, all right, so Ryan, you're 30, you're pick 36. At this point, it's been exclusively wide receivers and running backs coming off the board. The first tight end came off the board at number 30. Is this what you were expecting at this point?
Yeah, pretty much. I expected it to get pretty slim at the running back receiver position. Hold on, let me get back to the recap here.
Yep.
So I definitely kind of wanted to go the same pattern, receiver, running back, and DJ Moore was the best option there at that point. Cooper Kupp didn't really do much for me. Cooper Kupp and Rashee Rice didn't really fill my cup as wide receiver 2, so I went with DJ Moore, and then came back with Kenneth Walker, who I think is going to be, to round out my running backs, who I think is going to have a great year in Kenneth Walker. And I think DJ Moore is a solid pick there with Caleb Williams throwing the ball now. They got a quarterback in Chicago. I could have went Travis Kelce because he was the top tight end, but I think you're going to see some regression. And Josh Allen, I was obviously the pick right after Kenneth. I was thinking about him, but I wanted to round my team off first. Because I know, well, I mean, like you, man, you got a solid quarterback at Tua in the 10th round.
Yep.
So I think you can get better value if you round out your roster and take a quarterback later, which I ended up doing. So I think DJ Moore and Kenneth Walker were the right picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I like DJ Moore. I do think like same issue with the Texans. He's just got a lot of competition there. Like I don't think competition's a bad thing. It's just that like teams are going to want to spread the ball out a little bit, and when you've got so many good targets on your team, it's hard to be like in fantasy standpoint to like really stand out. But I do like DJ Moore. I think that he's a big time player. He was a big time player last year. I was kind of, it was stupid, but it was last year was my first year doing fantasy, and he had a terrible week 1, and I just went right ahead and released him like an
Oh,
idiot.
really?
Yeah, because I was thinking like, man, Justin Fields isn't the guy. He's not going to do that good. I don't want to like have my best receiver be tied to Justin Fields, and I released him week 1 like an idiot, and lost out on him for the rest of the year. But Kenneth Walker, I don't know anything about. The only thing I know is that the Browns now have the line coach from Seattle, so they got a new line coach this year, which could affect the run game either direction. So who knows? But yeah, I agree with your like thinking around the quarterback. Like I was very much in the mindset that I was waiting until a later round to go quarterback, just because every mock draft I've done, there's always a good quarterback available later. And I was honestly getting Brock Purdy a lot in later rounds. So like this whole time in my mind, I'm thinking I'm gonna match up Brock Purdy with Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, that didn't end up happening. So so yeah, that was 36 and 37. My next pick was 48. So in the meantime, we had Josh Allen, Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Jalen Hurts, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Smith. They all came off the board. Honestly, I was going into pick 48 thinking, I want Rashee Rice. I was very much in the mindset I want Rashee Rice, and I'm pretty sure he probably went to he went to third
Third
and
and long, you went to John.
yeah, so John took Rashee Rice off the board a few picks before me, and I was like, damn man, and that, like I really thought Rashee Rice was gonna fall to me, and when it got back to my turn at 48, I was like, I was um just shuffling, trying to figure out what I was gonna do in that case. I knew I wanted to go wide receiver, but a lot of good wide receivers came off the board. And so I felt like, man, it's kind of it's between yeah, I mean like there's still some good receivers, but like for my wide receiver two, right? Was it wide receiver two for me at this point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're 2 and 3.
Yeah, like everyone who I wanted for my two, I just like, man, like they all came off the board. And so I was like, man, all right. I ended up going with Calvin Ridley and then with Amari Cooper. Um, just because they're both technically number one receivers on their teams. And I like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper has proven to me that he's such a good route runner that it's like a skill set that doesn't deteriorate with age. You know, like he's not beating people on being so fast or so big or strong. He's just so technically talented that I trust that he's able to get open when they need him to, and that he's proven he can make big plays and catch hard balls. Calvin Ridley, I don't know too much about Calvin Ridley. I know
He's a
that
dog.
what's that?
He's a dog.
Yeah, like I knew that he was supposed to be receiver number one with Jacksonville, and I've never been very bullish. I've never been very high on Trevor Lawrence. So I was like, all right, Calvin Ridley didn't have a great year in fantasy last year, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But even still, he's going to Tennessee where their quarterback is what, Will Levis?
Right.
Like he's fine, but I I don't know. We'll see. I think Calvin Ridley's going to be good, but we'll see how often he gets the
He's
ball.
one of the best route runners in the league.
Is he?
And I think Will Levis is going to surprise some people.
Hmm. Hey man, that'd be great. I hope so. And it was between them. Jalen Waddle was still on the board, but he has an injury history, and like I just wasn't. I wanted to get some receivers that were going to be available. Who else? T. Higgins was on the board, and yeah, you know, I can't remember if I just didn't see him there. But I think the real thought process for me was that T. Higgins is wide receiver two on his team. Amari Cooper is wide receiver one on his team,
Yeah.
and I would rather use my higher picks to get wide receiver ones. So that's why I didn't go with T. Higgins. It could have been a toss up. Like I could have gone either way and got T. Higgins instead of either Amari or Calvin, but it is what it is. I think it ends up about the same. I think T. Higgins is going to have a good year because he's in a contract year and he wants his money. But yeah, and then George Pickens was still there. Chris Godwin was there. Tank Dell. But yeah, I just I don't
Patrick
feel.
Mahomes.
But yeah, I had the mindset that I was going to go later. That I was going to go
Yeah.
later with the quarterback. And I already knew which tight end I wanted, and I knew that he wasn't going to be anyone's first tight end picks, and there were still quite a few tight ends on the board. So I was like, all right, I'm going wide receiver here. And yeah, like I don't trust George Pickens' quarterback situation. Chris Godwin is a number two on his team. Tank Dell, there's a lot of competition on his team for wide receiver. And so yeah, that's why I went Calvin and Amari. So
True.
yeah, that was 48 and 49. Rye, your next picks were 60 and 61. In that time,
60-61.
yep. In that time, Jalen Waddle, DeAndre Swift, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, T. Higgins, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, um, George Pickens, Chris Godwin, they all come off the board. And now you're sitting here at pick 60. How are you feeling at that point?
Well, I'm feeling I didn't want to take a quarterback this early, but I saw Tank Dell out there, and like I'm like, oh man, Tank Dell's a nice pick since he's the top. I mean, as far as receivers, you look, Deontay Johnson was picked at 67, and he was obviously the next best receiver after Tank Dell. But number one, Tank Dell is the number one option on his team.
Over Nico Collins?
I think he'll emerge. I
Mm.
think Tank Dell will emerge as the number one. Nico Collins right now, but kind of went off here, but CJ, I didn't want to go. Obviously, I didn't want to go quarterback this early, but I wanted to get some sort of connection. I wanted to stack up CJ Stroud and Tank Dell. I think that Houston Texans defense is going to be one of the best in the league. I think the Texans are going to go to the AFC Championship. So when I saw Tank Dell available and CJ Stroud not drafted yet, I thought it was a slam dunk.
Yep, I love that mindset. Like I was definitely having the same mindset. Like I'm trying to look for a way to stack up my players. But like I said, like this whole time in my head, Brock Purdy's my guy, and I was even considering picking up Brock Purdy the next pick, right? So that was 1661 for you. My next picks were 72 and 73, and of course Brock Purdy came off the board to your dad at 66.
Yeah.
So after you picked up Tank Dell and CJ Stroud, it went Trey McBride, Evan Ingram, James Conner, Aaron Jones, Brock Purdy, Deontay Johnson, Ramondre Stevenson, Zamir White, Raheem Mostert, Anthony Richardson, and now it's my turn. And at this point, tight ends are starting to come off the board. And I knew that if I wanted to get the tight end that I wanted, he probably wasn't going to be there in the next round. So I went ahead and got David Njoku, who I think he's gonna have a big season. I think the Browns finally figured out how to use him, and he's just a freak of nature athletically and a yard after catch monster. And he usually catches passes close to the line of scrimmage, so like less risk, easier passes. And then he can make people miss and make things happen. And then I needed another running back just because like I needed some depth there. And I just think the best running back available at that point. It was between David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, or was Tyjae Spears still there? No,
Javonte Williams.
At that point, like I thought like the biggest threats to come off the board next at running back were between David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, and Tyjae Spears. And I was kind of torn between them because I really like Tennessee. Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears both play for Tennessee. I think it could be a toss-up. I don't know which one of those guys are going to be the number one because I think it could be a toss-up between the two of them. But they just got Bill Callahan. They picked off our line coach.
Yeah, they got the father-son trio going on.
Yeah, man, they've got one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire NFL, and I think their running game is gonna benefit from that massively. So I definitely came into this thinking like I want to get either Tony Pollard or Tyjae Spears, but I don't know who's going to be the number one yet, and I don't really know what Tony Pollard's going to be there. So I thought maybe Tyjae Spears might still be on the board if I went David Montgomery instead this time, just because I had David Montgomery on my team last year. He's still in his prime, and he had a good year, even though he was a number two behind. Like even though he shared a lot of snaps with Jahmyr Gibbs, he still had a really good year, and I still think that he can produce in this offense, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is really good. So, yep, I went David Njoku and David Montgomery with 72 and 73.
Okay, we're gonna round out our starting lineups here.
Yep. So your next picks were 84 and 85.
Yes, sir.
Right, and then in that time after I took David Njoku and David Montgomery, then came Keenan Allen, Dak Prescott, Terry McLaurin, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kyler Murray, Tony Pollard, Dalton Kincaid, Lad McConkey, Kyle Pitts, Christian Kirk, and then it's your turn at 84. How are you feeling at this point? How did it fall to you?
I wanted to throw another running back in there because I was feeling a little wide receiver heavy. I wanted to round it out a little bit, and I think Javonte Williams is coming in for a bounce back year off of injury, and I think he's a very underrated fantasy option this year because a lot of people are kind of disrespecting him because of his health, and rightly so. But I think he stays healthy and bounces back. And I didn't have a tight end at this point, and I think the best option was Jake Ferguson, because at that point of the draft, CeeDee Lamb was not signed yet, I don't think. And no, he was, but Ferguson is still a very solid, reliable target. He had a lot of red zone and touchdowns targets last year. I could have went with Pat Fryermuth, but he has some injury concerns for me. Yeah, I think Jake Ferguson, looking back at it, was my best option there at tight end for sure.
It makes sense. So that was 84, 85. We're not going to do every round, but we'll just do the next couple rounds here.
Yeah, I'd say we end with yours because that's the end of your lineup, and then we'll go to week 1 matchups.
Yeah, that sounds good. So that was 84, 85. My next picks were 96 and 97. I really was going into this hoping to get Jerome Ford because I think Jerome Ford is being overlooked by a lot of people. Like he's going to be the number one running back while Nick Chubb is out. We don't know what Nick Chubb is going to be. And Jerome Ford is really good in the passing game, but he came off the board. So after you picked up Javonte Williams and Jake Ferguson, then came Brian Robinson Jr., Jalen Warren, Pat Fryermuth, Christian Watson, Xavier Worthy, Jerome Ford, Austin Eckler, Tyjae Spears, Dallas Goedert, Cortland Sutton. And my next picks, 96 97, I went with Devin Singletary and with Keon Coleman. Devin Singletary is going to be the clear RB1 for the Giants. I think he's a solid running back. Like he's not the best in the league, but he's solid. He's a decent running back. And the fact that he was still there at this pick, I feel was a good, like it was, I was happy to be able to pick up another running back RB1 this late in the draft.
Yeah,
And then Keon Coleman, he's a rookie, but he's a big guy. Like he's got a really big body. He's got really solid hands. He catches tough balls, and he doesn't have a lot of competition on the team in the receiving position. And he's got one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen, right? So I think that Keon Coleman could be a good like kind of lottery pick, essentially.
yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite rookies. There's a lot of different rookie receiver options this year. I think it's super deep, and Keon Coleman could be one of the he could emerge as the top target there. So he's a good stasher.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see, man. I think he has some good upside potential. I do want to say like so the next round you picked up Zach Moss and then you picked up your second quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, which is cool. At this point, you have two quarterbacks and I don't even have one yet. But that next round, because so many quarterbacks had come off at this point, and the defenses were starting to come off that next round, at 120, 121, I went and got my quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa so I could match him up with Devon Achan. And then I went and picked up the Browns defense and special teams, because, yeah, I think that they were real contributors for me last year and they brought everybody back. And I think year 2, they're going to be as good, if not a little better.
More continuity.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's more potential for interceptions and turnovers this year, which last year they were just like, they were good overall, but they didn't get a ton of turnovers very consistently. So I think that they're going to be a little more consistent this year. So yeah, that's it. And no, let's, like you said, let's take it over to week 1 matchup.
Okay.
Who are you playing? And tell me about that matchup and what you think. One, I want to know what are the projections saying for your matchup?
I'm playing third and long, and the final score is projected to be 126.8 to 125.5 in favor of third and long.
Close game.
Let's look what he has. So I have, like I said, my starting lineup is C.J. Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Tank Dell, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, and the Dolphins defense. And I'm going up against Kyler Murray, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerome Ford, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, Sam Laporta, Deontay Johnson in the Bengals defense.
All right,
Could
that's
be slightly concerning.
matchup.
Look, his receiving core is definitely threatening,
Mhm,
and I think we could see some big things out of Kyler Murray this year. So we'll see what happens. I have Isaiah Pacheco in another league, so kind of sucks that I'm going up against him here. But that's what happens when you join multiple leagues, because I'm an addict. Uh, who knows? It could be a week one's a toss up. It can go either way. I like my team. I wish I didn't go. I wish I didn't wait so long to take a defense, but I think I have a pretty solid starting lineup, and we'll see where it goes.
for sure. Cool, man. My week one matchup, I'm playing against your dad. Pay me.
Yes,
And
sir.
projected, it's 124.8 to 118.6 in
Yeah,
favor of me.
you got the clear advantage on them.
Yeah, and I like just looking at the teams, like I really like my chances here. Um, quarterback, I've got Tua Tagovailoa going against his Brock Purdy, which I know Brock Purdy is who I wanted in the first place, but they're playing the Jets week one, and Tua's playing Jacksonville week one. I think I like our chances for Tua to get a lot of points week one.
Yeah, but the only thing about that is, you got to make sure that most of Tua's points are with Waddle and A Chain, because he's got Hill, so it's not gonna cancel out. He's gonna get more points. So like if Tua Tagovailoa throws a 75-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill, he's getting the point advantage. You know what I mean? Because receivers get more points. So you
Yeah,
kind of gotta try to get what you can out of Tua while minimizing Tyreek. That's the catch-22.
well, I'll cheer extra hard for Tua and cheer extra hard against Tyreek, and that's about all I can do for that. But no,
Yeah,
I assume Tyreek's going to hurt me this week. Like I think that Tyreek is the biggest X factor here, and I think Tyreek, like I purposely didn't choose Tyreek with number one because he's getting older, but I think week one is where he's the most dangerous because he's fresh. So
right.
yeah, I think that's the biggest X factor here. But again, you look at all the rest of the matchups. I've got at running back Christian McCaffrey going against his Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is fine, but they're playing the Eagles, who have a really good defensive line. I like Christian McCaffrey better here.
Yeah, you definitely have the advantage when it comes to running backs.
Yeah, running back two, Devon Achan against Najee Harris. Like, yeah, I mean, I like Achan over Najee Harris. I'm not very high on Najee at all, regardless. So, and Devon Achan, first game, he'll be hopefully fresh, no injuries. And then running back slash wide receiver, I've got Amari Cooper going against his Tony Pollard. This could be like, I think this could be a wash. I think Amari's going to have a good game, but I think Tony also will have a good game. So we'll see. Wide receiver, my Drake London against his Tyreek Hill. I think his Tyreek Hill is going to eat me for breakfast on that one. Um, Especially because Drake London's going up against Pittsburgh and Tyreek Hill's going up against Jacksonville. Wide receiver two, it's my Calvin Ridley against his Debo Samuel. I think that's going to be up in the air, could go either way. My tight end, my David Njoku against George Kittle. I'm a little bit higher on David Njoku. George Kittle just wasn't that consistent last year or at all in his career in fantasy. Like he has high upside, but just not a lot of consistency. And I like David Njoku against Dallas over George Kittle against the Jets. Flex, my David Montgomery against his Xavier Worthy. I take David Montgomery no matter what there. And then defense, my Browns against his Jets. Yeah, I mean that could go either way, but I like the Browns. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think that I have a good chance of winning week one here.
Yeah, I agree. We should do this for each week.
Yeah, I think so. We will. We definitely will.
Nice.
But yeah, this video is getting a little long. So everybody who is watching, thank you for watching. Let us know what your thoughts are on who we drafted, who did we miss out on. Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? What do you think is going to happen week one? And tell us about your team too. And of course,
Yeah,
always,
give us advice if we have any. We're always looking for advice.
I'm not. I'm the best.
That's That remains to be
Subscribe to
seen.
the channel if you like what we do, and we'll
We can
keep.
replay each other.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Oh yeah, we're gonna be talking so much trash.
Yeah, but hit that subscribe button, will ya?
Thanks, everyone.